Jordan, you sit there and you watch that little intro video or whatever with the summer events and all that stuff. And like one of the last ones is, I think it's like TJ McLaughlin on there at state games, Mid Atlantic State games last fall. And it says, and you look at it, and it's like Summer ID West. And you think, Jesus, that was ages ago.
Yeah.
And it was like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it feels like it, but yeah, I'm definitely in that same type of mode too.
Um, Welcome everybody. Appreciate everybody joining us. Another episode of High and Tight. Again, we talked about it a little bit last time. We're trying to get to these as we are able to. To say that June is just straight through the grinder is putting it lightly. I think we had Jordan, about an 18, 19, 20-hour day yesterday. We were at Virginia Tech. Awesome event. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, June is a monster between, events, in-house events. Our in-house events have been just absolutely insane. Appreciate it, all the support from everyone and parents and players and travel organizations and high school coaches believing in us and believing in what we do. We are very, very prideful with what we do, and we think we do a really good job of it. And we appreciate everybody trusting us and getting players to events. And we appreciate college coaches coming out. We had a handful of college coaches there yesterday, so appreciate them showing up. It's great to see that some programs want to get better and are trying to go after good players. So shout out to them for being in attendance. Appreciate them being there. But with all that being said, we're kind of coming to an end with our summer events. We have a pretty decent. It's the first time we've done an underclass TPG event. So it's just 27s, 28s, and 29s. Kind of a final event for those 29s, potentially for junior future games. But we started off, I think we were like, 4 or 5 players. Again, what seems like a month ago, but it was like 2 weeks ago. And now we're closing in on 40. I think we're at like 36, 37 this morning. I know there's a few more that are potentially adding today. But it's been a crazy summer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about all the past summers. Like this has been a super loaded, talented group of players that we've seen, in one summer. So I just shout out to those guys. The talent in Virginia continues to grow. So it's been a very exciting summer.
Yeah. I know we got some big arms coming in next week. Any catchers that might be listening to this? I guess if we're going to run this Sunday night, it might be too late. But if there's any catchers listening to this, we are a little bit light on catchers for Tuesday's event at University of Richmond. Any catchers that might want to get into an event, shoot us a message. We'll try to take care of you, get you in there, and take care of some of that stuff for you. But again, we're a little light on catchers, heavy on arms, so don't want to burn through the few catchers that we have and then not have any catchers for all the arms that we have. So again, any catchers, just reach out to us, DM Jordan, myself, Instagram account, Twitter account, or X, I guess. Shoot us an email, however you want to reach out to us. Reach out so that we can maybe get another catcher or two in there. But yeah, that event will be one of our final ones. And then we just added one more. We had a few more players that kind of with their summer schedule didn't work out, didn't line up for some stuff because they're all over the place. So we got a few guys coming already to future games trials. And it looks like, I think we just got approval yesterday at Gainesville High School on July 14th. Monday, we'll be at PPN the 4 days before that, or I will. Jordan will be down here in Richmond handling business at the Richmond tournament. But yeah, we'll go July 14th at Gainesville High School, Future Games Trials Nova. That is and will be the last and final event before Future Games, before Junior Future Games, East Coast Super Sophomore, all that stuff. So if you have any interest in those things, if you have any interest in those national events, reach out to us, and we'll try to take care of you and get you into qualifier events. With that, the final thing that I'm going to touch on, Jordan, I think you know where we're going with this. These national events are like, and we have some other events as well that are true invite-only events. But if you do not receive an invite, you cannot just kind of register at your own peril or at your own free will for those events. So just make sure everybody knows that. If you have a question about how to get an invite or whatever, reach out to us. But those things are going out in waves, and we'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll talk about that some in just a little bit. But first thing, after a long-winded intro, Jordan, first thing we want to get into is the first team All-State. Do you have first team All-State pulled up, Jordan?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So I'm going to go through the pitchers, and Jordan will roll behind me with infielders, and then I'll take outfielders, and then Jordan will take catchers, first base catchers in two ways. And we'll just kind of bounce back and forth like that. We're not necessarily going to talk about the players a ton as much as we are just going to kind of list off of that first team. You can see second team, third team, honorable mention, underclass, pitcher of the year, player of the year, all that stuff on the website. All of those stories are out. I know we got some tweets rolling out with some of that stuff Jordan and I have thrown together. So again, for all of those stories and all that, just go to the site. Starting off with pitchers, St. John's College High School right-hander 2025, College of Charleston commit Sean McCabe. Then we have Daniel Nienaber, 2026 Glen Allen High School right-hander, who recently followed the UVA staff, or followed the old UVA staff, down to Mississippi State, flipped his commitment over to the Bulldogs, so he's going to Stark Vegas. Daniel Nienaber, Glen Allen High School. Then we have Landon Turman, left-handed pitcher, Abingdon High School, 2026. He's an East Carolina commit. Kason Wagner, right-handed pitcher, Miller School, 2026, uncommitted right-hander. The top-ranked uncommitted arm and one of the top-ranked uncommitted players in general in that 2026 class. And then Noah Yoder, right-handed pitcher, Atlee High School, 2025, class of 2025, and a recent flip also, heading over to the University of Virginia following Coach Pollard and his staff over to UVA. So he will be close to home in Charlottesville now. Jordan, you want to take the infielders?
Yeah. First up, I have 2026 Casey Kadire, UNC commit from Great Bridge High School. Next up, Willie Hurt, 2025 infielder from St. Chris, Virginia Tech commit. Then following him is 2026 infielder Aiden McKeating, Princess Anne GW commit. Then 2025 Joey Rogers, Highland School, Wingate commit.
All right. Following the infielders are going to be the outfielders. We have the young Billy Hamilton himself, Thomas Conrad, or I should say probably Ricky Henderson. Thomas Conrad, Greenbrier Christian Academy, class of 2025 VMI commit. Jordan, how many bags? 42, I think it
42.
was.
42 bags.
Yeah, 42 stolen bases. Absolutely foolish. Nick Felton, St. John's College High School, 2025, Old Dominion commit. Nate Houghton Henley, St. John's College High School, 2025, and he is a Maryland commit. Jordan, I'll take the first baseman. Michael Hetzel, first team All-State first base, New Kent High School, class of 2025, Roanoke College. Jordan, you want to roll with the catchers?
Yep. 2025 catcher from Stewart School, Brian Archer, George Washington commit. And 2025 Justin Summers from Highland School, William and Mary commit. I can take DH if you like. Yep. 2027 DH from Battlefield High School, Tegan Leach, Virginia Tech commit.
All right. And in the two ways, there are two ways first team All-State. We're going to talk about these guys a little bit. Jet Humphreys, class of 2025, Abingdon High School, William and Mary commit. And then Caden Merritt, Gainesville High School, class of 2025, and he is a Coastal Carolina commit. So our pitcher of the year was Luke Smyers, left-handed pitcher, Alabama commit, future games guy, and Mills Godwin High School. And Luke was pitcher of the year. And then our 2025 high school player of the year was Ren Devereaux, St. John's College High School. He was our player of the year. He is a Penn State commit, also a Future Games alum. You see a little bit of a trend here. Not that we, not that we, like, all jokes aside, like, not that we favor or like, oh, this guy's a Future Games alum, like, we got to give him player of the year. Like, the numbers are the numbers, right? It doesn't matter. Like, we have kids on first team All-State that have never come to a PBR event, which is fine, right? Like, we said that before. That's how we're different than a lot of other people. Doesn't matter whether you come to 1 or 100. We're going to evaluate you and everything else the exact same way. But it just so happens that Ren had a really, really, really good year, and Luke had a really, really, really good year, and Caden had a really, really, really good year, and he's a Future Games alum as well. So I do want to discuss really quickly. This was a tough player of the year conversation. And it wasn't because like nobody had like a really amazing year. It was because multiple guys had really, really, really good years. Right.
Yeah.
I would say, Jordan, is it fair to say that there were 3 players in consideration for player of the year?
Yes, for sure. And like, it just made it tough, because, you go through all their stats, who they play, things like that. You're like, man, like, this is really tough. And I think it was a hard decision for us, just based on like how they performed throughout the year against quality competition throughout the year. So it was a really difficult decision. But like, let's just shout out to those guys, some of these guys, that just the years that they had, the work they put in throughout the spring. It just paid off at the end.
Now, obviously Ren won player of the year. And I hope we're on the same page with who the other 2 are that are in consideration for player of the year, because it'll look like the 2 umpires on the field that one calls safe and one calls out. We're just sitting here awkwardly staring at each other. Who would you say are the other 2 that were, I don't want to say 1B and 1C, but, right behind Ren?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Luke with his performance, he's a two-way guy for Godwin. He put up some offensive numbers too, and then Caden Merritt for me, just like he was a heartbeat for that team Gainesville on the mound in the middle of that order. I think those 3 guys made it a very, very tough decision on making that decision for us.
All right, so we are going to look like the umpires that are safe and out. So Jordan's second and third are Luke and Caden, which is perfectly fine. Obviously, the 4 in general were the ones in consideration. For me, the second and third were Caden and Jet. Jet's numbers, Jet had the second best, if not the best numbers of any of the 4.
Yeah.
Jet carried the offense for me, the 3, Ren, Caden, and Jet. Jet carried the offensive numbers. Now, again, we've talked about this before. We do take into consideration, it's no fault of anyone's, right? But we do take into consideration the consistent quality of competition. Now, Abingdon came to Commonwealth Classic, and they were runner-up behind Gainesville. Performed really, really well. Jet was first team all tournament. I would say it was safe to say, and everybody knows how that goes, right? Like, if Abingdon wins the Commonwealth Classic, then the MVP, if you will, comes off of Abingdon, and you know how that works, right? So I think we had co-MVPs of Zamorowicz and Ian Fournier from that game. But like Jet, out of the 4, he hit 70 points better than Merritt. He hit 514 versus Merritt's 444, sorry. And Wren hit 360. In 7 fewer games than Wren, he had 4 more hits. He had 8 more home runs. He had 5 more doubles. Again, we're talking about a 7-game difference. More runs scored, more walks, comparable strikeouts, OPS. He had the best OPS of the 4. Obviously, those guys don't usually run the bases a lot because they're two-way guys. And generally speaking, not every year, but for the most part every year, the player of the year is going to be a two-way guy, a two-way or a positional, just because a PO is contributing once every 7 days. Sometimes depending on the high school coach, once every 3 or 4 days, but a lot of times once every 5 to 7 days. He was second between those 4. He was second in innings pitched with 45. He was 6-0. He had 58 punch outs. He had a .77 ERA, sub 1 whip. Where it separated, like if we're going off of just straight numbers, Jet had the player of the year numbers, had the best player of the year numbers. But where the separation is the competition that Devereaux did it against, like every time. Now Jet did it against, again, Gonzaga, and he faced the better teams that they played and stuff like that. But I don't think there would really be an argument, or there shouldn't be an argument in, the WCAC's schedule where they play. I think they played PVI. How many times?
They played them
a lot.
Yeah, at least
3. At least 3. Yeah, I think it was maybe just one in the regular season, or was it twice?
I think it was
once or twice.
Twice, yeah.
Okay, and they played him twice in the playoffs as well.
Yes,
so you talk about 4 times. And obviously he didn't throw every one of those games, but he's facing PVI and he's facing Bishop O'Connell, and they're facing Gonzaga, and they're facing St. Mary's Reich, and they're going to Florida,
playing games.
What's that? Yeah, playing Gainesville, and right. It's a consistent grinder of a season, kind of day in and day out. And obviously there's some games that are down games. But for the most part, there's not really a comparison in the quality of the schedule. So I think that was the separator for me. But I did think that it's something that we should talk about, because those guys deserved it, right? I'll be the first person to tell you, like, for me, Wren, Merritt, and Jet, like, those 3 were the highest ones in consideration. If we went 4, we're talking Luke right there behind him. Luke's pitching numbers were off the charts. The offensive numbers were not where I maybe was expecting or anticipating them to be this year, especially after some of what we saw, like in the fall with him. But and even last spring, and I think probably a lot of it has to do with the fact that last spring he had a little bit more protection around him with some guys. So I'm sure that played into it as well. But again, Wren Devereaux, player of the year, Luke Smyers, pitcher of the year, first team All-State, two-way Caden Merritt and Jet Humphreys. And we get it. We get the emails and we get the messages and we see the comments and all that, like, oh, this person should be that, and this person should be that, and this, that, and the other. Like, I'm not disagreeing, but at the same time, like, it's not just right. It's not just the conference. It's not the 8 teams in the conference that you're judging against. We're trying to evaluate all of these numbers from every single public school and every single private school in the state. It's not just, the, 15 teams that have a player in consideration in Class 4.
Yeah.
It's every team. It's the Battlefields. It's the Madisons. It's the Gainesvilles. It's the W's. It's the Paul VI's, the St. John's. And a player hitting 400 in the WCAC, or, in Class 6 in Nova, like in the Concord district or some of those, that's completely different. Hitting 400 in that district or in that conference or region is completely different than hitting 550 at a Class 1 school where you might see two arms over 80 all season. Right. And it's no knock. It's the truth of it. Right. Anything to add there, Jordan?
I mean, just all around, just competition just continues to get better, especially up there. And those guys proved it to where their numbers kind of stood out with, where they performed and where they played at. So yeah, just shout out to everyone that made first team, second team, third team, honorable mention, all that stuff. Just great years all the way around.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at if you're on honorable mention.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're choosing from 300-400 high schools in the state.
Yeah.
And I want to apologize if you're not on a team. I don't want to apologize if you're not on a team. I can't do that. But if you're not on a team and nothing was submitted for you, I can't tell you, we have that every single year, and there's no other way that we can distribute it like social media every single day for a month, 6 weeks, probably a month. It's basically as soon as the private school season, or right there when the private school season ends, we start rolling that out there because we know we have 3 or 4 weeks before we'll roll our all-state teams out. And it closed up June 9th, and shoot, I think it was what was it like? I think it was after the all-state teams came out, we got sent some stats.
Yeah.
I'm they were due 2 weeks ago, and then we get the occasional, well, you should go look at every team's stats. Well, that's impossible. Right? That's because there's no database, right? Yeah. You would have to go to every single team. It's not like you go to NCAA or JUCO and we can sort, everybody's stats and they're put in by an SID or whoever. It's just not possible. And then we don't have, game changers are closed off, and people don't link stuff to Max Preps, or they hide it on Max Preps, or hide game changers and lock everybody out with family. And I understand why. But if you don't send it to us and we don't have access to it, it's really, really, really tough for us to see. You can't see something that's not there. So we just want to apologize if you did not make a team. Hopefully a coach or someone will submit stats for you next year. But I know we sent stuff out. Thank you to Tim Mary with VBCA. He sent that link out for submissions to all the high school coaches that are in the VBCA, and just want to kind of give them a plug. I know that I got the email. I think registrations for membership are back open. I think they're doing a dual membership with the ABCA, the National American Baseball Coaches Association or whatever. So those registrations are back open. I think the ABCA convention or VBCA convention this year is at UVA, I believe. And I want to say that's usually December. So, if you're not a member of VBCA and do those things, it's an awesome group that tries to grow the knowledge and kind of networking and grow just high school baseball on the private and public side in the state. So if you're not on that, get with Tim, or get with Sean Ryan or Billy Wagner or Rob Honey or Pudge or any of those guys, and talk to them about the VBCA and try to get in on that. So, Jordan, anything to add before we move on here?
All good.
All right. Next thing we're going to talk about before we get into top prospect games, future games, junior future games, senior future games, East Coast Super Sophomore, Future 50, all of those things. Jordan, I'm going to give you the floor, let you kind of run with it and take a minute. You go with those things. Talk about invites. Talk about what it takes. Talk about what we're looking for. Just take the mic and run.
Yeah. So we started a small wave of invites that have started going out here over the past few weeks. But we're still not done yet. We have a couple more events that we talked about earlier that we're still going to be picking a few guys from. So all invites aren't like sealed the deal. No, we're still going to continue to send invites out. Still evaluate players to see how we can put together some teams so we can take some teams down for those events. So don't freak out if you haven't gotten your invite already. Still evaluating, still working through and send those out soon. So just be on the lookout if you get an invite. We'd love to have you guys. You get your invite, but please, if you get an invite, let us know if you're accepting and things like that, because we need to, put a roster together in a timely manner. So that's a big thing. Something that you have, Jason. I saw you just pop back in.
Oh no, I know you kind of. It seemed like you were kind of wrapping up, so I didn't just want to leave you on
I wasn't
on the solo. Yeah. Oh, okay.
No,
Well, here we go. Watch this.
Yeah.
Watch this. Boom.
Yeah. Yes. Things that we're looking for, guys, and the guys that play hard, got to get out the box. That's a huge thing. Get out the box, playing hard, showing off your tools. Don't leave a tool in the toolbox. Show them all off. College coaches want to see what all you can do. We like to see what all you can do. So if you got something special, something good that you really good at, show it. Don't leave it in the bag. So that's like one of the things that we really look for: playing hard, showing your tools, being a good teammate, good energy, bringing the energy. Those are really good things that not only we look for, college coaches look for when they're evaluating, bring people onto their rosters, things like that. But like guys, the recruiting process is changing all the time now. All these new rules implemented, things like that. Just being comfortable, knowing what you're doing, what you're comfortable with, and what teams look for. Like, you got to find your right fit. Not every player has the same fit at the same school. So finding your fit is a really big thing in the process, when it comes to the recruiting process now. Just being comfortable, knowing what you're comfortable with, and just playing your game and finding that right fit for you in the recruiting process. I think that's really big. But no, these national events, like, they're heavy recruited events. I think there's no other place to be than at these events. Every college you can think of at future games, they're there. We're watching you going from field to field. So it's a big event, and like, you can ask players that have been in the past, they'll tell you the same thing. Coaches are literally everywhere, every school that you can think of. So I like future games is one of my favorite times of the year. See all those coaches, all great players, talent, all in one spot. So I think, just these events is some of the best events that you can ever come to. So just looking forward to this year and all the events that we have coming up, national event coming up, because we have some talented guys.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
No. So, I mean, kind of piggybacking on what Jordan said, like, it's tough. It's tough to get people, like, to understand how hard it is to get these invites. Like, it was tough before. It was tough, 3 years ago. But with the recruiting landscape changing in terms of, like, when players can commit, with that timeline piece, it's so much harder. It's so much harder. And the reason it's so much harder is because, like, I know we probably, we have, what is it, like 6 guys in the 27 class that are already committed. That just happened before this all changed. But I mean, next year, for example, with the 28 class, like, nobody's committed. So you're taking the best players. Now, I also want to preface that with taking the best players. It's taking the best players that fit what we're looking for and what we feel college coaches are looking for. Right? Obviously, left-handed arms and left-handed hitters, those are at the top of the list, right? I don't think it's really a secret. I think it was put out there. Like Cole Cinnamon is coming to future games. Like he's a low 90s left-handed arm at 6'4", right? There's not a college coach in America that isn't necessarily looking for an arm like that, right? Just generally speaking. Now, at the same time, and I know it's tough. It's a tough conversation, and I'm going to seem like an old man yelling at the clouds, and I understand that. But what Jordan was talking about with getting out of the box and stuff like that, like I cannot stress how important it is in 2025 for guys to realize, like, with the roster cut, especially with the roster cut, like teams are not as apt to take the project guy. They're not as apt. They're not as easily persuaded to take the development guy, to take the has tools but doesn't necessarily show up in game guy. Right? There are some that will take the risk, and right, like right, wrong, indifferent, whatever you believe. That's where we're at. So with all of that being said, I think last year for me, I think I had started to get maybe a little bit more hands-on, if you will, like in, hey, these are the guys that we're taking. And as far as now versus the past, like in the past, it's been like, hey, this guy has really good tools, but maybe they don't show up in game. And we've taken them, right? Because the class was a little bit picked through because of the old recruiting rules versus the new. Now, like, who am I more likely to invite? I'm more likely to invite the guy who shows up and plays. Right? Like, and don't, like, this is going to be taken the wrong way and twisted or whatever. But if you're a 6'7" runner, but you don't steal bags and you don't get out of the box and you don't stretch a single to a double, what is the 6'7" good for?
Yeah.
If you don't get a good jump or don't get a good read in the outfield or positionally in the infield, whatever, what good is it? Like, just to have and say I'm a 6'7" runner? If the 6'7" doesn't show up in game, if the 6'7" doesn't show up in what Jordan said, in your tool bag, it's like, you're walking around with a billboard that says 6'7", but you don't do anything with the 6'7". So for me, like when I'm talking about like, hey, who are we going to invite? Are y'all going to invite me? Are y'all going to, like, I'm a 6'6" runner. Yeah, well, we watched you in 10 games and you sat on first the whole time. Run.
Yeah.
Run. If you're a 7-0 runner, okay, you gotta turn the baseball around. I mean, you gotta turn the baseball around regardless of what type of runner you are. But like, you gotta turn the baseball around. You gotta have a little bit of juice. You gotta have a little. That doesn't mean swing for the fences every single time. But when you get in that 1-0, 2-0 count, you got to have an approach, know what you're looking for. You got to turn. You got to show some quality contact and some impact at times, right? There's probably, I wouldn't say none, but there are probably very few. When we're talking about the college coaches that are at future games, we're talking, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, ACC. I mean, you're talking the high mid majors. You're talking like virtually every Division I school for the most part, like in the country, or a large portion of them, of the biggest, best baseball schools, if you will. Okay. And like, those guys want guys who can impact the baseball and impact the game. And there's value in workouts. There's value in the showcase. There's value in, getting that arm grade from the outfield, because because if you can play 3 games and never get a ball, right? Wherever you're playing positionally. And so they don't get a chance to see that. But if we're the guy that, comes up and gets the ground ball in the outfield and takes 37 shuffles, I won't put the 2 letters on the front side of that shuffle. But if you take the 37 shuffles to get your 92, that doesn't play in game. Right? And this is what we tell the players and try to stress to them at an event. Hey, get it in, get it out. If you want to run it up on 1. Otherwise, get it in, get it out. Right? It doesn't matter if you throw 110 if it takes you 15 shuffles to do a pull down to get it across the infield or from the outfield. It has to play in game. And that's where I'm at with our invites. Is like BP's great, right? It can tell you a lot. It doesn't tell you the full story. Right? The same thing can be said for gameplay as well. It doesn't always tell you the full story. Depending on the day, depending on the week, whatever. So you got to see both. But we are looking for guys who play baseball. We are looking for baseball players. I think a great example of that, and I'm not giving any secrets away because I've had the same conversation with Dad, Casey Kadire. Great example. Like, first time I saw that kid play, fell in love with it. And it's gotten better, for me, like love it even more now. Is it super sexy? No. Is he a 6'6" runner? No. Is it a power arm across the infield? No. Is he dropping 20 bolts a year? No. But you know what? The kid shows up every single day, and he is going to compete and win baseball games for you every single day. He might be like a 7-0 runner, 6'9"-ish, 7-0 runner. You know what? The kid plays faster than some 6'6" runners, 6'5" runners that I've seen.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's instinctive. He knows baseball. He knows how to play the game. We took him last year, and I had some questions like, not myself, but from others. Like, you think da-da-da-da? But he comes down there and hits like 500, steals like 6 bags. He's like game MVP, commits to UNC, and like, yeah, he's pretty good. Because he plays baseball. And that's what these colleges, I know we've gone like super long with that, or I've gone super long with that, but that's what they're looking for. They're looking for guys who can throw strikes, who can compete in the zone with their stuff. They're not looking for the guy that's 93 off the backstop. Like, that doesn't do them any good, right? Because with the portal and the limited roster and all that stuff, that guy's going to take time that they don't necessarily have. Right? Now, you might get a mid-major or whatever that takes a project guy that takes a risk, so to speak, or whatever. Understand that, right? But when we're talking ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, those schools that need to compete now, they need guys that are ready to get on the field or as close to ready as possible to get on the field and help them win baseball games. And you know who helps win baseball games? Guys who put the ball in play, guys who can impact it, guys who are instinctive, who have high IQ, who get outs. You have to get people out to pitch. It doesn't matter you throw 130. If you don't get anybody out, that 130 doesn't do any good, right? So that's just my 2 cents. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for baseball players. Not necessarily the guy chasing 95 from the outfield when it doesn't play in game. We're looking for guys who can help teams win baseball games, because that's what's going to attract coaches to a field, which in turn is going to get more commitments for our state. In addition to that, it's tough, man. Look at all these players. What have we seen, Jordan? 500 players this summer just in our in-house events?
Yeah, just in our in-house events.
Yeah, 500 players. That's not including scout days and stuff like that. Well, you know how many go to future games? Like roughly 25. Right? And that's 500 from all classes. So, how many from the 27 class, I don't know. For senior future games, we're, not splitting it, but we're a combined team with Maryland and Virginia. Right? So you're talking about 25 more guys. And we'll probably be a little bit heavier on the Virginia side So just throw out a number, just say 15. Okay. So you're talking about 15 2026s that could go there. 15. Okay. Out of the entire state. 25 27s. Then we're talking about East Coast super sophomore. Same thing. Around probably a few more two ways with the younger guys, but you're talking 20-ish, 2028s. Okay. Then you get down to junior future games, and what are you talking? 15?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So like it's very, very, very select, and it's very, very tough. Jordan, does that mean that we do not like you as a player?
No, we still like you as a player, but I mean, hey, it's a number. We can't bring everybody.
Right.
Nine people are down at a time.
Believe me, yeah, it's only 9 people. Believe me, I wish we could take 30 and it was like a 6-game event.
Yeah.
And you could take 30 and we could double up. Because there are guys that deserve to go and are going to play at some point in time. There's a chance that some of these guys are going to play Division I baseball that don't go. We're going to miss on a guy. We missed on a guy in the past. I'll be honest with you, McKeating. We didn't take Aiden McKeating last year. He's become one of the better hitters in the state.
100%.
And I'll call that a miss. Like, Aiden Spania, he's coming to senior future games. That's a guy that I look back and say we should have took that guy last year over somebody else. He's a phenomenal kid. He works his tail off, and he's a good player. That's a kid that deserved that opportunity. And we miss. And it's like you just have to look in the mirror and be able to say, hey, look, this is this is a guy that we look at it in the future and just say, hey, this is the guy that we probably need to take next time, and he's coming to senior future games. So he's getting his chance, and he's earned that opportunity. So those are just, that's a little bit of background of what we're looking for. Yes, you have to have some tools, but the tools have to at some point show up in game. Okay. And it is a very select roster. And it doesn't mean that we don't think that you're a good player, right? This is probably the toughest time of the year, sending out these invites and getting an email saying, hey, am I going to get invited? No. But understand, like, that is, we're not the judge and the jury, right? We just have to make these selections. At the end of the day, you're still the one that controls your recruitment. You're still the one that controls, for the most part, where you end up, right? You're the one that has the final say in that. So just kind of want to give everybody some background to that. Now, Jordan, do you have anything to add before we move on?
No, I'm all good.
All right. So moving into that, we had a handful of invites come out of that TPG2 event yesterday. We're Thursday morning, maybe a little bit tired and a little bit worn, and but it was a very long day yesterday. But it was a ridiculously good event.
Yes.
Ridiculously good event. I am like super pumped. That's the first time we've been back in quite some time to Virginia Tech for an event, and could not have been happier with like the setting. It's a beautiful facility, field. They were very gracious with everything. We were in the indoor facility, and obviously, we went a little bit over on time yesterday. We got a little bit longer with some of the game stuff, but Coach Sheff and his entire staff were very gracious with everything. I'm going to go through a few kind of clubhouse leaders. We're going to start with the 60. Jordan, I know you want to do the honors here. Don't even mute yourself. I know you want to do the honors.
Yeah. Top 60 of the day. Absolutely blazing speed. 2027 Virginia Tech commit Nico Maurice Toledo with a 6.25. Yes.
Now,
6.25.
Yeah. Now, Dad sent me a video this morning. I guess he was videoing his 60. So I haven't decided whether I'll put that out there or not. But you can see when he finishes, there's a 6.251. You can see the time scrolling on a laser. Now, what was his first? That was his second time. What was his first time?
6.29 his first time.
Yeah. So he runs a 6.29 and a 6.25. We always tell players like, hey, like you can run twice if you want, but you're usually going to get slower, which that is. And I tell them, hey, the players who usually get a faster second time are the guys who can really, really run. Usually the 7.5 runners don't usually get a faster time on the second time. But yes, he was the one who got a faster time, 400ths of a second. So he ran a 6.25. That was our leader. We had a dozen guys. I think I said earlier, Jordan, a dozen guys run a sub-7. We had Nico 6.25. Will Smoot, Madison High School, right? Yep, Madison High School, 2027. He ran a 6.73. Christian Gomez, Battlefield High School, 6.74. Judge Dillo, Abingdon High School, 2027, physical catcher, ran a 6.78. And Andrew Griffin, 2026 Great Bridge, ran a 6.78. Those were, the handful of leaders. Full leaderboard and full stats release will be out. Again, this is going to air on Sunday, but it would have been out on Thursday afternoon. Infield velo leaders, Mateo Pipia, 89 across the infield. Chandler Howlett, 87. Jake Rasnick, 86. Waylon Ammons, 85. Colin Francis, also 85. Outfield velo leaders, Noah Gray, 93 from the outfield, coupled with his 6'8", 160. Second was Brody Snelson, 89 from the outfield. Andrew Griffin, 87. Jaden Boca Chica, 86. Had a strong beach presence there yesterday.
Yeah.
A lot of beach, a lot of Nova. Catcher velo leaderboard, Parker Thomas, 78, the 2028 lead. I was standing at home plate doing pops there with the catchers, and you could just tell it came out of his hand, man. Just had absolute carry. And a shout out to our catcher pop thrower guy, one Jordan Jones. The first time I've ever seen Jordan throw. He's shaking his head. I don't think he's happy with himself. Let's just say if Jordan.
The arm's been retired too long. I gotta start doing some plyo balls, some bands, something.
Yeah, you're gonna be in the house with plyo balls going through sheetrock.
That was for me.
Yeah, let's just say Jordan. If Jordan has a kid, he's gonna need to work, do a little work before we start playing catch in the backyard.
Yeah. I need to warm up and all.
We're gonna have to have Alyssa out there doing catch with the kid. But that was our leader, Parker Thomas, with catcher velo 78. Judge Dillo was 77 second. Lewis Dunn 76 third. Bryce Lyle and Barrett Sanders both tied 75 fourth. Exit velo leader Waylon Ammons was dropping absolute nukes during BP yesterday. 102. Colin Francis was 101. Had a really good day. He is he's going to PDG as a post grad, so he will end up being eventually like 2026. But post grad guy that's going to PDG. He was 101 yesterday. Jake Gunning 99. Lewis Dunn, Brody Snelson, Camden Lockhart, Jacob Bratton, all 98. Camden Lockhart put together some barrels yesterday, BP and in game. Let's see, best velo of the day, Jordan.
None other than 2026 Logan Clark, 95.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to believe or that we've had a better fastball velo in any event. I can't recall a 95 from anybody in any event. Like maybe a pro game.
Yeah, from my time, no.
Yeah, I know we've had some 93s. I think a 94, but in event, I don't know if we've had maybe there's been one. High school, we had a 96. Oh, obviously Yoder. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Never mind. Logan Clark was 95, and Brody Comparto was 91. Two uncommitted 26 right-handers, 91 and 95. So,
might want to get on those.
Yeah. And Palmer Gobble and Brody Snelson were both tied for third at 89. Snelson is a 28, Newbridge Academy, and Palmer Gobble is a 27, John Battle High School. Brother Porter Gobble, Walters State, right? And he is a Futures Game alum. Porter is. So all four of those guys had quality outings yesterday. Again, full list will be up on the stats release. Jordan, I want to look at, just because for my own interest, Waylon Ammons led yesterday's max distance batted ball at 401. Colin Francis was 375. Judge Dillo 374. Brody Snelson 369. Sam Sheff 366. Lewis Dunn 362. Matthias Alden 357 and Caden Bell 354. Those are max distance, like average distance. Christian Gomez 313. Jake Gunning 271. Again, you can go through and look at a zillion different things as far as leaders and all that stuff. Yeah. Jordan, anything to add on the stats or any of that stuff?
I mean, it was some loud barrels, some loud contact throughout the day, just making baseballs disappear. So I think it was a really good showing, some strength, some power for some of those bats throughout the day.
And, this just goes to show you like the depth of information and data that you get from our events. Is you look at how fast Nico's time was, right? 6.25. And you look at Will Smoot, I think he was second, was 6.73. And how quickly Smoot accelerates out. He had the exact same 10 split as Nico. He had a 1.63 10 split. And I think Nico's obviously his top end speed is more, and he's got more carry, on that run and getting to the top end speed. But that 10 split, he got out just as fast as Nico did. Just roughly half a second, which is insane to think about it. Somebody runs a 6.7 and the second best time was a half a second difference. But Smoot got out again, same 10 split is Nico 1.63. The 30 split was Smoot and Griffin were both 3.77, which is second. And top run speed was obviously Nico, 23.2. Second best run speed was Christian Gomez at 21.3. Noah Gray, 20.9. And then it goes Judge Dillo, Will Smoot at 20.8, and so on and so forth. All right, Jordan, we've run through all the data. We've run through a bunch of different stuff. For you, what would you like to talk about from yesterday?
Like for me, I just think hitters, especially in that first session, man, they were aggressive, making some contact, making things happen offensively. Noah Gray put a couple good swings on the baseball yesterday, got out. I believe he had a triple, some good barrels from him. Sam Sheff was on barrel throughout the day. Kid just plays, hits, ability to hit the ball to all fields. Jake Gunning put on some quality at bats as well. Just a physical guy, a sneaky athlete for his frame. He's had a strong summer. He's been swinging well. His great high school season has carried over into the summer. So like those, just a couple guys offensive for me. They were really aggressive, put the bat on the ball, make some things happen offensively. I just think some of those guys, their offensive showing really, really stood out to me yesterday.
All right. Well, I'm glad you talked about them, because that still leaves me time to talk about Thomas Jewett.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier at length, a guy that can help you win baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
He is a guy that can help you win baseball games. The kid can pick it. There's good bat to ball. Like, the defense is definitely ahead of the offense, but the offense isn't it's not a knock, right? It's just, I think the defense is just that good, right? He plays hard. He's aggressive on the bases. He's like a phenomenal kid. Talking to him afterwards, and just our interactions over the past few years, his high school time, and he has more than earned his opportunity to be at Senior Future Games. So I just lay that out there. Thomas has gotten an invite. We invited him yesterday, and like just I thought he just did a phenomenal job yesterday. The kid, can just defend laterally. He comes and gets it. He's accurate. Okay, he's 83 across the infield, but it plays. He gets it in and out. He's not the show pony that runs out there and is chasing some crazy number. He just plays baseball. And again, that we're in a time where you're going to start to see it more. Guys need to be able to play baseball. And he is one of those guys. He hits in game. He impacts it on the bases. I think he ran a 7.28, but I mean, not to give any excuse, but I have a feeling he's going to run a little bit quicker on a little bit of rest. I mean, what he plays 7 or 8 games in like a 5-day span. I mean, he's been a 6'8", 960. I'd say he's a 6'9", 7.0 runner. So I'm sure it's a little bit slow yesterday, just because I'm sure those dudes are cooked. I think they got done playing Tuesday, middle of the day, and then they came straight to Tech. And I got a text from Gunning who was like, "Hey, can I wear?" He plays for the Stars, and he was like, "Hey, can I wear the pinstripe pants?" Like they didn't go home. Some of those teams ain't been home. I think I talked to Pipia yesterday. He said he hadn't been home in like 3 weeks. So this summer stuff is just an absolute grind on these guys. But yeah, that's one that I wanted to talk about. We talked about Lockhart putting together some good ABs. Micah Green, Hickory High School, 2026. He put some quality swings on some balls yesterday. I think he was was it like the final AB of a game or something like that? It was towards the back end. Yeah, ball in the gap. So he had some quality ABs. Chandler Howlett does what Chandler Howlett does, right? Puts ball in play, uses the whole field, backside, pull side, lean, wiry, thin frame, got some arm strength across the infield, 6'8", 7 runner, like can do a little bit of everything. You talked about Noah Gray. Andrew Griffin I thought he kind of got a little bit shallow on a read on a ball in the outfield and center field, but that's where that foot speed comes into play a little bit. He recovered, made a really good over the shoulder catch, kind of going in the gap on a line drive. But I just thought it was quality across the board. I mean, we talk about arms. Logan Clark was up to 95. First inning is no secret. First inning was much better than his second. The arm talent is there. The arm strength is there. The spin, like we're talking about with a guy with a college coach yesterday, like it's not like huge spin numbers in terms of like RPM and all that stuff, but like the shape. I'm standing out in center field, so I'll have kids come up and say, "Hey, what was I last inning, or what was my spin?" Or I had somebody yesterday like, "Hey, what was my exit velo?" I was like, "I don't know." Like I don't sit back there and just watch exit velo. I just watch like how the swing plays, how it comes off the bat. Like I don't need a TrackMan unit to know if it right. Like it's there. It has a purpose, right? Not knocking any of that. But like I don't need an iPad to tell me whether the ball came off well or not. Anyway, like I couldn't see the spin numbers and all that stuff, but I was sitting in center field and I could see that breaking ball plays when it's in the zone. That breaking ball plays. But Comparto, we'd be remiss to not mention Brody, like state games MVP. I thought BP was okay. I didn't think it was as good as maybe as state games. And again, these guys are getting towards the middle back into the summer. So some guys are starting to wear down a little bit, I think. And it's just, that happens every year. And then he comes out in game and just laces a double, is up to 91 on the mound, just does what we've seen him do. So again, one of the top uncommitted 26s in the state, both of those guys there, Clark and Comparto. Let's see, Braden Jacoby, 84, 87. I thought he looked good on the mound as one of the new acquisitions for DSC, Dominion Sports Collective. So that group, Coach Kane and Coach Dragum and those guys over there, getting quality arm with Braden Jacoby, which they knew Braden really well coming from Hanover. Caden Bell did what Caden Bell does, just
spin.
Outside of that slider. Yep, just spin it. Yeah, I mean, I thought those were some of the winners from yesterday. Like
Tyler Howard.
And again, like, what's that?
Tyler Howard. I thought he showed very well on the 2028.
Tyler Howard. Yeah, absolutely. And it's tough because we have like all these 26s, and then you have like all these 28s, and you mesh them together, and like it's hard. We could say something about virtually every person there. I know Braden Cronin was one of them. Fastball came out really well, 80, 82, touched 83. And you're seeing him 30 minutes after you see 95, right? 45 minutes after you see 95, right? So tough. But I mean, you're talking about a 26 and a 28. But like, I just, the 28s were really good yesterday as well. We talked about Pipia, Cronin, Elmore. You talked about Ty Howard there a minute ago. Snelson was up to 89. Like, it looked good coming out. And I didn't think it was that good. Like, right? Like, just stand up to the side. Like, I was like, all right, 85, 86, something like that. And they were like, no, 89. And it was electric. It's arm strength. It's raw.
Really like the slot.
Yeah. You talk about a guy who, not crazy overpowering stuff. I'm gonna give you one guess, and you may not hit it. And if you don't hit it, you just keep going with where you're going with it. Quality, like, just pitches, gets outs, competed, moves well, not power stuff. Where would I be going? Do you have a guess?
I have a guess. Can I ask grad class or not?
Yeah, you can.
All right, what's the grad class?
Oh, got you.
Well,
you didn't guess grad class. You just asked me what the grad class.
I mean,
you ready?
All right,
27.
Yeah. 27. Jackson Jones.
He threw well also yesterday. He threw on the back end of the third game, but that is not for me. That was not the one I was talking about. Kai Clark.
Yes, he did do that. Yes, he was efficient. Got out, filled the zone.
Left-handed arm, moves well. I thought he had a really quality outing. I really like the way he moves on the mound. There's some upside there. Obviously, when we're talking about which level, if you will, he ends up at, all that stuff, there's got to be a below jump if we're talking about, a higher ascent in terms of future. But a guy that competes in the zone, moves well, has some future there, and has some pitchability. I thought that was a really good example of someone who I thought threw really well yesterday. But yeah, dude, it was just an absolutely stupid event. I even had one coach yesterday that said they thought this event yesterday was better than state games. I don't know. I told him I don't know if I completely agree. And I think I know when what he was saying is like the state games had some like high end players. And this did as well, but it had quality depth behind it.
Yeah.
And I think probably maybe more so on the arm front, where that quality depth was behind, some of those frontline guys. I mean, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 guys, 85 plus. 3 of those 12 were 28s. with Pipia, Howard, and Snelson. And you got these 26s that are hanging out there. Ryan Hartle was up to 86 yesterday, but he's like, what was he, like 24, 36 hours? Yeah, 24, 48 hours removed from like a fairly deep outing down in Georgia. So I think he had been up to like 87, 88 down in Georgia, but good body, 6'4", long limbs, looks the part for sure. Altizer, Auburn kid, 85, 87, same thing. There's some good size arms there yesterday. You got Clark and Altizer and Hartle, Caden Bell. And Howard, obviously, already, like those guys, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", good bodies, pretty good movers. So yeah, just an awesome event. Jordan, anything you want to add on to?
No, I think just it goes into talking about the talent pool we've had all summer. It's another great event. We have a couple more coming up. I know it's going to be some good quality arms and talent there too. So it's going to continue as we continue to round out the summer.
Absolutely. Well, again, any catchers that are still listening that maybe want to get into underclass or they just want to come out and catch or whatever, hit us up. Again, we could use another catcher or two for next week's events. And again, by the time this comes out, the event will probably be closed. So just reach out to us. We'll figure that out. But yeah, 2 events left before we get to future games. Jordan and I will be down at 17U National Championship as always. We'll be down there going through the Virginia guys and some regional players and stuff like that. Appreciate everybody jumping on here and joining us. Until next time, see y'all.